you found the money to find the machine and buy the machine and find everything, right? When someone wants something bad enough, they're going to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal.
Don't overthink it and just do it because
Wow.
your worst enemy is yourself.
Regardless of the industry and regardless of the market, there's always somebody looking for your service.
The last two weekends in festivals in Missouri, I've made $7,000 each weekend.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another great episode of Permanent Jewelry Marketing's podcast. So I'm joined today with the lovely Payton Henderson, and she is one of our amazing clients that's worked with us for a while now. Payton's had some huge success lately. And Payton, talk to me a little bit about, when did you start PJ?
Yeah, so I in 2021 really wanted permanent jewelry, and there was nobody around me who was doing it, and so it became something where it's like I need to do it. So I did it. I did it myself, did it on my friends in 2021, and then honestly, it kind of took a backseat for my other brick and mortars, just because at that point, at least around me, it wasn't like super popular, and so I didn't really do it. And I would say 2023 is really when we started like full force behind it, really being like, okay, we're doing this as a company. It deserves just as much time as all of our other brick and mortars. So 2023 is when we really started pushing it. And we have two markets. So I have a brick and mortar in New Mexico, and then I am opening a brick and mortar in Missouri, but we do fairs and festivals and private parties and everything in Missouri.
Nice. So how was it starting out? Like when you decide, okay, I want to go full force, what were your struggles like? What did you struggle with?
Feeling confident in welding was like a big thing, but that's also like my time. So like I did a few nights that week. I felt confident in that. And then really making sure that like I put time and effort behind it, because I always wanted to have something that I am like proud of. And so like you have to put that time and that organization behind it. And then so I like applied for shows, reached out to businesses, those kind of things to get things in like place to start going. And then it's just built from there. So like when we started, I only had a couple options of chains, couple of charms, that kind of thing. And now like, because I'm obsessive, like I have 80 types of chains and I have hundreds of connectors, and like, it's just grown and grown to the point of like where we are today.
So really quick though, you didn't start out with hundreds of 80 chains and
Oh, no.
connectors and all that. You built your way up to that.
Absolutely. And honestly, in New Mexico, I still only have like 10 chains there. It's my obsession that's like, oh, I want this, I want that. So like personally in Missouri, you guys get way more, but just because like it's what I love. But like I only have, I think, birthstones, hearts, and like stars as far as connectors go in New Mexico. And I have like 10 types of chain, and they have appointments every day.
So when you said you were reaching out to businesses, like talk to me a little bit about that. You were reaching out to how many businesses did you have to reach out to get a response?
So Missouri is much more responsive because we're much more, there's a ton of like tiny towns out here. And so there's a lot more of like the boutique feel. So honestly, like if I reach out to 5, I'm able to get into 2 of them. So like my odds are really, really great out here. New Mexico is a different story. Like I probably have to reach out to 50 to hear back from 1. So, but that's also because like it hasn't become this huge thing out there. So we're just 2 very different markets. And so out in New Mexico, we're mainly like private parties, private in-store events, bigger companies asking us to come in for like employee events that have found out about us from coming to private like parties. So like it's building organically that way. As we're out here, boutiques are like, oh my God, yes, I want permanent jewelry to be offered. And so wineries, that kind of thing. We're in a huge winery area. So, and like distilleries. So Missouri is definitely a different market than New Mexico.
Yeah. But like, was it frustrating for you, like in New Mexico, 50-1? Like
Yeah.
that's your ratio, 50-1. I'm sure it's very frustrating.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like you just have to go, it's like, okay, it's not that time. And honestly, like even though they say no now, it doesn't mean that they're not going to say yes later, because it's all about education, because most likely what they're saying though, they have no idea what it is. So I'm putting my business out there, like I'm getting hits to my website, like there's benefit of putting yourself out there, just even for the marketing aspect of it, of education. And you're not always going to get yeses, but having those no's is what's building you to be able to have yeses in the future, because you have to educate people, especially in a market that doesn't know about it.
That was a huge golden nugget. And a lot of people don't want to hear that, but it's so true. I tell people all the time, we, even as a marketing agency, we reach out to 75 people a day just to get one yes. And
Absolutely.
it's, at least I get one yes.
Hmm.
And the cool part about, and correct me if I'm wrong, please do, but the key to your success is, your consistency and you wanting to make sure that I know I have to reach 50 people to get one yes.
Hmm.
So that means every day I'm reaching out to 50, I'm getting one yes every day. That compounds over 30 days. It's a lot of yeses.
Absolutely. And honestly, I'm kind of annoying. So like when I get that first no, like I put it on my calendar in like 30 days to be like, hey, just reaching back out to see if you maybe have changed your mind or if you've had any questions come up that I can answer you. So like for you. So like you constant like I just bug people, honestly. And like, unless they tell me not to contact them again, which honestly I haven't had anyone say, like I just keep reaching out, especially like event directors and like that kind of stuff for fairs and festivals. Like I don't know if they received my application. Like I don't know, did I like send that application and I'm waiting 30, 45 days and they never even got it. So like
Mhm.
I'm always the person who's like checking in with people, make sure things are received. Like did you like I don't want checks floating out there. Like so
Yep.
I'm annoying, right? Like so I just continually check back in and like I said, unless they tell me not to contact them, like you just keep reaching out because you don't know when that time is going to be that it's something that they are looking for.
Exactly. It's especially with any big company, they're always doing like employee events. They're always doing gatherings, things like that, and they're always wanting something new and exciting. And they get the cool part about it is they all have budgets, right? They
Yep.
all they all have money they have to spend on their employees for that particular thing. Now, when talk to me about like your experience with our company and kind of like what we do for you and how it's worked out so far.
Absolutely. So I will say, like, so I have a long line. I mean, I've owned my brick and mortar in New Mexico. We
Mhm.
have an eyelash extension company and a hot yoga studio. And my hot yoga studio in December will be 10 years old, and my eyelash extension company is 16 years old.
Mhm.
So, and I can say in that time, I built everything organically because marketing is what I'm worst at. Like, I can like reach out to people, but as far as like social, like, I started companies before there was social media. So,
Yeah.
like, that's not my area of being comfortable at all. And so you guys have been amazing. So like unfortunately, I've used a lot of companies with my other companies that promised a ton, delivered nothing, and honestly, I'm embarrassed to say like how much money I've spent on those things.
Oh,
No, it's bad. Like for what I've done. And so you guys like you over deliver for what you promised, number one. And like everything was set up. It was so timely. Like I you guys obviously have to get the information from us. So like that was the slowest part. Like I think it took me probably like 24 hours to get everything that you guys needed. But from the time I signed up at night, the next morning I already had emails for you guys how to log in. I already had a chat started with you guys and I love that. I love being able to chat with you guys whenever it like pops up in my brain because if I have to send an email, it's going to get stuck in thousands of emails. And so like having that chat option to be like, "Oh, I just thought of this, like respond when you're on." Like is so beneficial. And I'm getting from our ads, I don't have a huge budget set with it either right now. I have one in going to Missouri and one going to New Mexico. And I'm getting like 4 or 5 responses at least a day on each ad of leads coming in, putting in their info for me to start reaching out to like book different things of like what we're going for.
so 4 to 5 responses times that by 30, that's over 100 inquiries a month, would you say?
Absolutely. And I haven't even been with you guys for a full month.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
no, we
crazy.
just started, I think we started ads maybe about 3 weeks ago.
That's insane. So my
Yeah.
other question then is, if you don't mind saying it, and you don't have to, but what is your daily ad budget?
I only have it at 500 a month for for each ad.
That's, you're talking like what, $17 a day. So $17 a day, you're getting 4 to 5 inquiries a day. Like that's that's like going to Starbucks and getting 2 drinks.
Absolutely. Which I would say most of it, and you can only count that really as one Starbucks, right? Because that's one ad. Like, and I have
Yeah.
2 logos, so like you have to separate them
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
the same for there.
That
And I love that guys too is that like I was able to have both locations and like you were able to like help me with both of them and come up
Mhm.
with a strategy to be able to be like, okay, like I don't feel like I can do with my other businesses. I can have them separated to like what's the best way for like me to be able to like accomplish this, but have one account, but have 2 places. So like being able to be creative and like really work with me and like my more unique situation was really awesome with your guys' company.
Yeah, and I think that's what's the key to success is like you hit the nail on the head. I hear it day in day out, like where people work with other agencies and marketing companies and things like that. And we like to do things a little different. We like to be overly honest about results and overly honest about like, hey, that's not the right budget, or hey, we love to tell people. It's my company's motto. Like we love to tell people no in the
Yeah.
sense of If we know it's not going to work, we're not going to let you do it. We are not yes people. We are not, oh, let's just appease Payton that way she's happy. And if she doesn't get results, it's on her. No, because it's the philosophy, just like in business. If you want to give out quality change, you want to give out quality results, people will come back. And
Absolutely.
and that's where with what you're doing, I'm excited to see exponentially what you grow to because compounding 100 inquiries over 90 days that's going to be a staggering number of events that you have booked out.
Absolutely. And just to throw in, like, so for like where I was at of like when you guys were asking like what I wanted to do and like budget and everything, like I asked what you guys recommended. Like I didn't go into this with like, oh, like this is my like what I want to do. And I know if I had ideas, like you guys would like we'd be a sounding board and that kind of thing. But I was like, okay, what have you seen with results with that I can jump in with to start this rolling? And I
Mhm.
have to say, it's like one of the leads that came in that booked was actually instead of one person, it was 5 people. And I think this was 7 days after we started ads. It was a $700 sale. So like that over $200 paid more than my ad budget on one lead coming in for one sale for like a private like thing. And those 5 people only took my technician like 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's
Right?
that's that's the thing. And I know for a lot of people right now, you're probably thinking, well, I don't have the funds to market. And my question, my thought to that is you found the money to find the machine and buy the machine and find everything, right? When someone wants something bad enough, they're going to do whatever it takes to achieve that goal. And for me in business, like we were just talking before we got on the call, the biggest mistake I see business owners making, and you kind of agreed to this, and I would love your input on this is, in my opinion, before you get the machine, before you buy any more chain, before you do anything in this business, start booking events.
Absolutely. Because you're going to be able to learn it. It's not something where, like, for yoga, I had to go through a 200-hour training, right? It's not something for lashes that you have to go through everything you have to do, right? So, like, you just have to learn how to weld. And I don't mean to, like, downplay that, right? Like,
Oh.
it's something you have to learn. But in no way is it something that you're not going to be able, like, to be generous to teach yourself in a week if you did dedicate a few hours a day to, like, actually practicing it. And
Mhm.
a lot of my, like, I mainly do like fairs and festivals out here in Missouri right now. It's going to change because, like I said, I am opening a brick and mortar. But like a lot of those, like I got into a festival that's not until August, but it has like 150,000 people in it. Well, they started taking applications last year for it, and applications are already closed. So if I'm waiting till now, where I'm like, oh, things are blowing up, let me apply to that. That's not going to be available. Like,
Mhm.
and for even like the winery I was at, like for me to email them, reach out to them, get everything planned, get me on their books and everything, that took like 30 days. So you're not gonna like get ready and be like, okay, I have all this money out, now I need to make my money back. Like you have to have a plan to make your money back before you put money in. And also too, like for you guys, you also like you do the shop pay like financing,
Mhm.
which like is awesome because like that's what I put mine on. I was like, okay, well let's throw that, like it was able to be bumped out 6 months. And so like that like was easy, right? So then the only thing coming in like right away is the ad budget for what you set for
Mhm.
Facebook.
Yeah, and
Meta.
and even with our packages that we have for marketing, we offer financing for our marketing. Like you can get it
Yeah.
as low as $69 a month. It's crazy how low we can go.
Well, and just to throw out like numbers, and I don't like I'm not doing this like in a bragging way, but the last 2 weekends in festivals in Missouri, I've made $7,000 each weekend.
So
So
14
like
grand in 2 weeks.
yeah. And
Like,
so this last weekend, so Saturday, I was in a tiny town in Missouri. And then yesterday I was at a winery for Mother's Day. And then the weekend before was a Friday, Saturday, Sunday festival. It rained on Friday and it rained on Sunday.
wow. And you still cry.
So yeah. And also too, like it's setting prices for what like I
Mhm.
know deserve it's, people will be like, oh, the economy, the market, and everything like that. Like I still did what I did. Like, and my prices aren't cheap. Like I don't my prices aren't cheap.
It's funny. I had a conversation on Mother's Day yesterday with my dad because my dad's an old sales guy and everything. He has his own business. He's talking about the market and things like that. And I stopped him because he's like, yeah, it's a down. He starts telling that story of, oh, it's a down economy. It's this, it's that. And I'm like, Dad, you're wrong. I said, regardless of the industry and regardless of the market, there's always somebody looking for your service. It's just up to you to get in front of that person.
Absolutely. And I felt, when I built my last businesses, honestly, it was when the economy was down as well. And this could be wrong, but my opinion is people, especially in times like these, are always going to do something to make them feel good about themselves.
Bingo. You hit the
Like
nail on the head.
they're always going to do something when you're stressed, like when you're stressed out, when you're not feeling great, like you go to Starbucks and get a drink, like you spend that extra money. Like we're kind of trained as a society, like when things aren't going the best for you, you go do something to make yourself feel better. There's always going to be somebody who wants to make themselves feel better. And so like I built my other companies on a down market, and like even though that can be what it is right now, like I'm not seeing that those effects.
It's crazy. It's all about the mindset you have.
Hmm.
All about the story you tell yourself. It's to me, I feel like with these kinds of with this with permanent jewelry, it is something to make yourself feel good. But again, to kind of bring it full circle, I think instead of focusing on the chain, instead of focusing on the machine, instead of focusing on, hey, I need to get my weld right before I book an event. No, you need to book an event because like I have a rule that if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist.
Right.
Like even this call that we did today, it had to be in my calendar for me to
Right.
prep for it. And if you don't have any, if you're looking at buying a machine right now, and you're looking at buying the kit and everything, and you don't have an event coming up, chances are you're not going to have an event in the next 90 days because
Well, I'm a testament to that. I bought my machine and I bought my chain in 2021.
yeah,
I
you
didn't
just
start till 2023. It took me 2 years
Mhm.
to do anything because I didn't have a business plan like going in for marketing and how to do myself before I bought it. Like I'm a testament to that. Like literally sat there for 2 years doing nothing until I was like, oh, this is starting to blow up. Like let's jump in too. And then I started all of that. But also too, I didn't practice from 2021 to 2023. So like I'm booking events and like practicing. I'm like, okay, I'm in my kitchen, welding and
And
everything.
now that it's on your calendar, it's forcing you to do it.
Literally, I have an event every single weekend right now until mid-November, and that's just because November's haven't come up for me to be able to apply to.
That's amazing. And that's where, a lot of people are like, oh, this person's doing this person's doing that, this person's the difference between the people who are doing it and the people who are not are the people that are consistent and that run it like a business, not like a sideline.
Well, also too, I feel like a lot of excuses are like, oh, the market is getting oversaturated, all that. Okay, so Saturday, for example, I did $3,700 on Saturday. There was an MLM permanent jewelry company directly across from me. I could see their booth. And there was another permanent jewelry company down about 10 booths into the right, three booths that had a little bit cheaper. Both of them are much cheaper pricer than me because the MLM company only does stainless steel and I don't offer that. I mean, everybody can, but like that's just not something that I want to offer. And then the one down offered the same products as me, but they were about half the price of what I charge. So I had at
You
least,
had
and
every,
I
you
didn't go around to see out of the 175 booths if there was even more. That's just what I know from people, like because both of those owners from those booths came over to me. Like that's the only reason why I knew that they were like I could see the one obviously across from me, but the one down the corner and around was like, oh hi, just checking out the competition. And so I was like, oh hi, like nice to meet you. Like and but other than that, and then she came over and looked at my chain. She's like, that's what you're charging per inch. I was like, yeah. And then as she was saying that, like literally that person took that chain and I went to go start welding. So like it's so even at the same exact event without exclusivity in a tiny town in Missouri that has like a population probably of like, I don't know, 3,000 people. Obviously the festival brought more people in. I still did $3,700 that day and it was from 9 to 4.
so
So
why do you feel like you did so good? Because your back was up against the wall that whole weekend.
because there wasn't an option for me not to do good because I know that if I'm going to spend my time and I'm going to go out there, I'm going to take people, my booth is going to look professional, that I have a great warranty in place, and that I can actually talk to people, that people want to come to my booth, that you make a connection with people, and people just want to be loved. People just want to be acknowledged and to be seen. So if you're sitting at the back of your booth and you're waiting for people to come to you, nothing's ever going to happen. If you're trying to engage with people, if you have good branding, if you have good signage that, like I had marketing happening that like we were going to that event. I had made posts that we were going to that event. People I know like, oh, I had seen that's why you were coming. Like people knew that I was going to be there. And so people were specifically looking for me.
That's huge. That's huge. So, all right. So to wrap this up, what is one piece of advice you can give somebody who's just starting out or looking to start out?
Don't overthink it and just do it. because
Love
your worst enemy is yourself. Like your worst critic is yourself. It doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. Jump out and do it, because all the all of those negatives that you're having in your head are just, you're giving yourself excuses to not fail because you're afraid of failure.
it.
And
Yep.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Like the only thing that you could fail at is money, but like permanent jewelry doesn't cost enough that it's going to break you. Like
Yep.
it doesn't cost so much. I mean, our markup is insane. Like
Mhm.
there's very, very rare, because generally like lashes, markup is great with lashes, but like you have to pay a tech to do a lot of work.
Mhm.
Like I can get people in and out in 5 minutes. Like, and our markup and chain is great. Like there's not a way to not make money if you try with permanent jewelry, at least in
Yep.
my opinion.
It's yeah, my big thing, and I'll end on this note, but my big piece of advice is you're starting a business. Look at
Mhm.
your brick and mortars, okay? The one overhead you have right out of the gate is rent.
Yep,
Average rent somewhere is $1,500 to $2,000 commercial. That's at a minimum,
that's
okay?
a low.
That's a low. Then
Yeah,
you have electricity, then you have cable, then you have Wi-Fi, then you have insurance, then you have all these other things. So think
yes.
about this. You're starting a business with zero overhead other than
Mhm.
that shop pay to pay for the kit, which is probably under $100 a month. If you want to start any other business, you'd be having to pay 3 grand a month. This
Oh,
business
absolutely.
is allowing you to do that, and that's where it's like, that's where the marketing is so important to get you out there in front of more people in a quicker amount of time.
Absolutely.
And
And just, I'm so sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you,
yeah,
but the
no, no,
festival
no.
that I was at on Saturday that I did that, it cost me $55. Like, and it was an hour and 45 minutes away from me. So it was a tank of gas and $55. And so I go into every festival or anything that I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, this is my cost. If I have like a helper, what I pay her, like I have like, this is the minimum that I have to make today not make me cost everything. So on Saturday, because I had family helping me and I don't pay them, love them, don't pay them. I literally had to make $105. I made 3,700. So like there's no overhead with it to start. And like I'm to the point right now where, in New Mexico I have my big brick and mortar, but where I'm at in Missouri, I'm opening 174 square feet in a building. Like I'm not opening a huge brick and mortar, and I'm only taking appointments. And so like, like I'm not, and I'm going to be able to do that, and it's going to be able to be amazing. So
That's
that's
huge.
also not an excuse because they're
Yeah,
not, some of them are not expensive.
yeah, yeah, for real. It's a crazy the opportunity there is in PJ, but it's crazy how fear controls people. I've been controlled by fear before. I think everybody has. But it's up to us to overcome that, because what separates you from the successful at this point in time is the decisions you make.
Hmm.
Success is legit a decision.
Hmm.
It's people think it's luck. No, it's a decision.
It's marketing yourself to know, to put yourself out there, because no one's going to know. You can't show up at a Starbucks and not have and expect people just to flock to you. You have to put yourself out there to know. And I can say too, for these stats, before I started marketing with you guys and like getting out there, because I get notifications every time I get a hit to the website. So normally I was getting about 1 to 2 hits on the website a day. Since I've in the last 3 weeks, I've gotten 197 hits the last time I checked, and that was before this weekend. And that's strictly from people coming from the marketing on the ad. So like that's just brand exposure. So even if I'm not getting leads, even if I'm not getting anything like that, like I've quadrupled how many hits I'm getting to the website of people finding out more about permanent jewelry. And then they're also putting my name with permanent jewelry, because then that's like who they're looking for when they come to those shows and doing those things.
I call that the attorney effect, because in any town in America, attorneys have their billboards everywhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's and it for attorneys, they do it for exactly like you just said, brand exposure. They do it
Yeah.
to where if you're thinking of an attorney, you think of that person. Or if you're thinking of PJ, how many times, I asked this question to my dad the other day, like, it's like when you look for something, when you're looking into something, do you just transact right then and there? No, you're going to
No,
think about it. You're going to go back to it. You're going to think about it again, probably think about 5 or 6 more times, and then you go back to it for that brand exposure. But if you're in front of them at all times, you're always going to be top of mind.
absolutely. And you have to connect that to where you're at too. So if you just have a table and your permanent jewelry, you're going to be with every other permanent jewelry. Like,
Mhm.
so on my tent, if I have a tent, I have a pull-up sign. I have like the sandwich board sign. I have a sign on the front of my tent. I have a banner at the back of my tent. I have a sign that says, I have on my 10 by 10 sign, on my 10 by 10 tent, I have one, two, three, four, I have 5 signs with my name on it and what we do. And then if you count the sandwich board, that's 2 sides. So technically I have 6. So
Mhm.
like that way they know like, oh, this is endlessly connected. Like, like this is who I'm looking for, because you can't expect people to know you just based off of like, oh, there's a table for permanent jewelry.
It's all about getting out there, get the brand recognition. I love being obnoxious. A lot of people don't drive with that. A lot of people are like, oh, I would never. And that's okay. But I'm going to be bold and say, you know what? That's why the success you've had is the success you have.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why the success I have is the success I have.
Yep.
Sometimes it's like I tell my wife in our studio, we're going to follow up the lead until they say stop.
Mm-hmm.
When they say stop, then we'll follow up with them again 6 months from now.
Right. Because I mean, you don't know if it's just not the right time. Like
Yeah.
they are interested enough in it to give you their information. So just because it's not the right time, and I can tell for myself, like I have 3 kids, I have 3 businesses. Plus, like I forget about things. Things get like slipped through the cracks that I really want to do. But like if I don't, like you said, if it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen. So like you have to have those reminders to be able to get to the point that it is on your calendar, that it is something that needs to be a part of your schedule, because there's only 24 hours in a day.
Exactly. We all have the same 24 hours in a day. It's all about how we use it. All of us have the same opportunity every day when we wake up. We all have the same exact opportunity. But to your point, what you just said, so you have 3 kids, you have
Mm-hmm.
2 businesses, you are a busy woman and you're still
three,
getting it all done.
3 businesses.
3 businesses
Mm-hmm.
and you're a busy woman and you're still getting it all done.
Yeah,
So my question to everybody watching this is, what's your excuse?
you have to go through them, because daily I have excuses. Daily I have where it's like, oh, I'm not feeling this today. Daily I have, and I have my non-negotiables every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have to do this, I have to do that, and you find things that don't cost a ton to be able to help you, like using your, it's like the biz AI,
Yeah,
like
beauty
your,
with AI. Yeah.
yeah, but like being able to plan out my social media posts, like that takes my time out of, like I can have everything planned for 30 days to know like my base things, and then I can add in reels. I do reels by hand just to be able to add in like trending audio and stuff, but all my static posts and where I'm going to be and everything else, like you use those tools to be able to like increase time management. Like I don't know how to run ads. I'm not, that's not something that I know how to do. That's not something that I can spend time to know how to do. And so I need to
Mhm.
be able to use a not crazy budget to be able to jump in, to be able to use your guys' expertise to be able to make my time be able to go farther.
And just like you said, we're a lot more cost effective than people think. Like
Oh, absolutely.
it almost costs you more by not.
Well, especially too, I don't have another company that like I'm able to use like a payment plan for. Like normally it's like you have to pay everything all up front.
Mhm.
So and then like so then I have to pay, so you have to do like the 1,500 or whatever it is, right? But like just say you have like that amount to upfront, and then you have marketing, and then you have all of that. And so that's easier to throw down the list because you have to like put that into your budget. But
Yeah.
honestly, like, you don't really think about 60 to 100, like you don't put into your budget, oh, I need to go buy gas for my car. Like you just go and buy gas, right? Like so when you have those smaller amounts, it's not
Mhm.
even something that you really notice to be able to get so much exposure from. So
Yep.
like that's just, it's, yeah, by far the best. Like being able to work it in before you're ready, like all of that is just, and right, it's your precipitation of ready, because
Mhm.
you're never going to be ready until you throw yourself in. When I did my first huge fair, did I feel ready? No. Like my whole entire hands were like shaking the whole time I was welding. Well, yesterday I welded like 60 pieces, and like it was easy and fine. Like it's that repetition. But even if you get to the point where you feel like you're ready, which is just an excuse, like once you get there, you're not going to feel ready. Like you
Yep.
just, it takes that repetition. It's like riding a bike, right? You use that terminology for lots of stuff, but it's true. Like in the beginning, it sucks. And then by the time like you're down the road, you don't even think about it. And it's going to be the same thing with welding. But unless you have a place to practice and you have people to practice on, like
Yeah.
it's not, you're just kind of wasting it.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Alrighty, well, Peyton, thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a pleasure, and guys, stay tuned for the next one.
Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.